Hey everybody, this is Petey from Spin Rack. We also have
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
so today Cal was going to talk about some books you should check out. Cal, what's going on?
Yeah, I think in the last show we did regarding Spider-Man, I kind of poo-pooed the whole thing about speculating because all of the books that people would have to speculate on are key books. Amazing 129, Amazing 138, second appearance of the Punisher, Amazing 150, first appearance of Spider-Man clone becomes Ben Riley. Amazing Spider-Man 38, first appearance of Gwen Stacy, which is also first appearance of Professor Miles, who will later become the Jackal. So none of these books you can really speculate on because they're already expensive. Don't expect them to go up too much. And if you have them, you're probably not willing to let go of them. But we want to look at a few books today that would allow you to do some speculation if you have them, or you can obtain them cheaply enough, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. So let's see, what's the first? Well, the first one we should probably pull. Can you pull up the first one I sent you?
So, there you
There we
go.
go. So there's your first spec book, Incredible Hulk #1. It'll only cost you a few $1,000s, but I think there's plenty of room on it.
Okay. Uh,
Okay, well, Petey has no sense of humor, but
I don't know
at the very least, hopefully some of you guys out there thought it might have been funny. Anyway,
that's what this
Incredible Hulk
one is
number one.
for the humor.
Yes, yeah. How are you going to speculate on Incredible Hulk #1? There's
Anytime
no
it
spec on that.
appears,
That's one of the major keys of the Silver Age. No way. Okay, especially if you have a copy in good condition. I saw a guy, he had a full set, Incredible Hulk 1 through 6. Each issue in good condition. When I say good condition, I'm talking these books look like they were at least uh very fine or very fine. So like an 8.0, and each one was signed by Stan Lee. And the store he went to didn't want to give him more than 15 grand. Those guys were fools. I think he wanted 30 or yeah, I think he might have wanted as much as 60, but even at 60, I would have been like, hey, I'll take them because I know I can turn a profit on these with the signatures. But yes, Incredible Hulk #1. Okay, if you get a facsimile copy, you might be able to actually move it for $10. So a good book to look at if you have a facsimile.
okay.
Moving right along.
So then this is a joke too, then, right?
No, 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 no. Well, just a little. No, without a doubt, this is a key book, but I'm putting this one up because the spec book that people would tell you would be X-Men #1, first appearance of Jean Grey and Marvel Girl, not respectfully, Secret ID and superhero name. However, this is the first appearance of Jean Grey as the Phoenix. Much more affordable book. You might be able to get a copy for You might be able to get a good copy for as cheap as, 300 bucks, and a perfect book to speculate because if Sadie Sink is actually playing Jean Grey in the movie, the first jump that everybody will go to is Phoenix. That if she's going to be in the movie, Phoenix has to be coming down the pike, and if Phoenix is coming down the pike, this is a book to have. So if you can get one cheaply enough, I think anywhere between 400 bucks, that's a good book. That's a good book to have. It will definitely appreciate if it hasn't appreciated already. It appreciates naturally. Some speculation will definitely accelerate that appreciation. All right, what we got next?
Hold on for a sec. Got
Hmm?
Mars joining.
Uh,
Ah, yourself. What's happening, guys?
So we're talking about some hot books that you should be looking out for before they get hot.
It's
So
going to be hot because of Sadie Sink showing up
that's
as
he said. He said
yeah.
all that. He
So
said
yeah. So
he
yeah.
said all that.
So it's definitely hitting the floor, but isn't it a little too soon based on your stuff,
No,
Cal Evans, Calvin?
going through it first. We got to go through it first. We're not just going to attack first.
No attack. I'm just saying. Just a question.
Here's your
what was your
next.
question? What was
Well,
your
we'll go
question?
through it. We'll go. Let's go through it.
Oh, he's ready to answer.
No, let's
What
go
was your
through it.
question?
Let's
He
go
asked
through
you
it.
the question. I said it.
I mean, according to you, you said that usually it takes the books, the closer the movie is, the prices of the books go down.
If you have a question for him, if you have a question for me, why are you talking to him?
What? I'm talking to you. We were talking to
What was
them.
the, what was the question?
I just said it. I said, according to you, you said as the show comes closer, the prices
Mhm.
drop. Now you're saying the prices are going up.
No, no, wasn't saying any of that. These are books to speculate on. One, any book that I give somebody to speculate on has long-term value. I don't try to attach it strictly to the movie. And what I have found is now it used to be different, but there's so many YouTubers out here. The model changed because it used to be you had to try to sell the book before the film came out. That's how we used to do with toys. Before the film, you try to move them because you don't know how well the film does. You don't want to get stuck with these toys. And if the film is successful, maybe you held on to a couple and you sell them at Christmas because they're going to be looked for. With comics, same thing. It used to be the same thing. However, now it's that initially you do get some buys. You do get some buys before the show. But now I've found that you start getting buys after the show because a lot of guys waited to say, "Oh, I'm going to wait till the price goes down and then I'll be able to get, the book and I won't have to pay as much money." But a lot of guys are holding their prices. So if it was $300 leading up to the show, it's $300 after the show. So that's one thing that I have noted. But this is to get a jump on the books before that rush happens where everybody's like, "Oh, I got to get a copy." And even if you miss out on that rush and it goes up, even if you were to put some premium money into it, this is still a book that's going to appreciate. So you're going to make good money on it. Does that
Yeah.
answer your question?
Yeah, you answered my question, but I don't know, man. So let's continue. Let's go through the book. So you're saying, of course, Phoenix is classic, natural. Petey, go back
Mhm.
to the Phoenix. Yeah, that's a natural, but this is I would have thought this would have been pretty high in price already.
So when
You
you
can still
show
get,
up late to class, this is what happens.
Well, then
well,
if we went over casting, let's go. I came up with this picture, so that's what I saw, bro.
this
Just messing with
is
you.
this is without a doubt a key issue. It's not cheap, but you can get a good, I believe even now you can still get a good copy for between 200 to $400, which for this book, that's a decent amount of money to pay. This is a key book. It's a suitable investment. So whether Sadie Sink appears in the movie or not, you know that Phoenix will make an appearance eventually. So hold on to the book, let it appreciate. You spent 400 on it. By the time you sell it, it's a $1,500 book because of speculation. Because Phoenix is not appearing in this movie, but the long-term potential of the book is always good for X-Men 101.
Do you really think they're going to do a third Phoenix movie?
Of, of course. Look how many times they did Death of Superman. Of course.
Okay, hey, I take it. I gotta say, I got burnt badly on the speculation with X-Men.
What did you
Well,
buy?
well,
So
yeah, what did you
before
buy?
before when Marvel bought the X-Men, I said, let me do this. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna start buying up all these, at least this is more the silver, I guess the silver age or the bronze age, 80s, classic 80s, 90s X-Men titles. So I
Uh-huh.
was buying whole, not runs, but I was buying stories, particular stories of the individual comics. And I just bought a whole bunch of, I mean, I just spent money over, hand over fist thinking, hey, once they actually decide to make a Marvel started to work on this, one of these stories is going to hit. One of them.
Mhm.
But what? How long has Marvel had the X-Men? When did they buy it?
They needed to stop Fox from doing more stuff with them. So
Huh?
they needed to stop them, but they've had it for a while now. Yeah.
Well, the biggest, I think the biggest mistake you made was not talking to me before you made this speculation. I would have steered you the right way. I mean, that I have to admit, that's a Piker move. And we do a show together and you still didn't ask me. That's kind of bad, man.
Well, I mean, I think that it was pretty obvious. The thought was they were supposed to roll it out. So they bought the company back. Marvel bought Fox in 2000. Oh, wait, no. Disney bought Marvel in 2009. They bought Fox in they bought Fox in when? Punching it up. They bought Fox back in 2019. So that's 6 years, right? And I think that's when it closed. So it probably was before the 2018 when they announced it. Yeah, 2017 is when they announced it. So we knew that they were buying it for a couple of years now. It's what, 7 years now, 8 years now that this whole thing, we've been waiting for this thing to happen and it didn't happen. No stories. They went through this whole what, phase 4 or phase 5, not a peep. And so
You
yeah,
gotta be,
I bought it
you
not
got,
because I didn't go to you because I figured, hey, this should be an easy home run. You know, I talked to my peoples at comic book stores and refined that and talked to others. They all said Marvel is coming out, and it
Wow.
didn't come out. It didn't come out. So
Just
now I
digging a
have
hole.
boxes and boxes and boxes.
Digging a hole.
I got at least five of boxes of specific stories that I thought would be valuable.
Yeah, well, see, if I want to talk to somebody or get some advice or an opinion or some information about history, I call you. When it's time for speculation, you should have called me. That's why you're feeling the way you feel right now. So don't do that in the future.
I stand
But
corrected. So what about the
just
Hulk?
for no, hold on, just for a quick segue. If you are looking to speculate on X-Men, because most of the good books are they're expensive. You're gonna pay a couple hundred or more depending on what it is. And I'm a fan of the classic X-Men, like from issue one to about when did they start going to the reprints? Sometime in the 60s. So
66, yeah. 66,
yeah. So I'm a big fan of that particular run. But even those books now have become a lot more expensive. Used to be I could get like the first appearance of Frankenstein for maybe $20 and forget about that now. They're much more expensive. But if you're going to speculate, don't speculate on that original stuff. It's too expensive. It's not worth it. What I would recommend is that you go and you watch the X-Men 92 series. Watch that series, okay? And look at whatever they decided to adapt for that series. That's where your speculation is. Because when it comes time to bring the X-Men, they're going to kind of tack to that because they're seeing that, oh, wait a minute, this is successful. People like this. And they're also probably going to be very familiar with it, where people are like, oh, yeah, I remember the cartoon, whereas they may have never read the Dark Phoenix saga from Claremont and Byrne. They have watched the cartoon. So go through that, and that's where you want to start. I'm going to start speculating. You definitely want to get a first appearance of Gambit. You definitely want to get a first appearance of Bishop. But then characters like Mr. Sinister, Apocalypse, what's the other guy? The guy who he juiced up Magneto. Was it
Cable.
Fabian Cortez?
yeah, Freeman Cortez.
Yeah, first appearances on those because it's so most of them are relative are just like cheap. There's plenty of copies because X-Men was selling so much, but you can get them real. You could get it real cheap, maybe like $1, and then next thing you know, some news announcement comes out. You sell it for 10 or $20. So that's where I would speculate if it comes to X-Men. So if
When that,
anybody listening, don't be like Mars. Listen
no,
to
but
me.
that's the period I was looking basically 90s,
Mhm.
2000s. That's when I was basically getting. I'm like the Mutant Genesis, for example, Age of
No, don't do that.
Apocalypse,
Look
Executioner
at
Song.
Look at
Um,
whatever they adapt. Look at whatever they adapted for the TV series. That's what I'm saying. Look at whatever they adapt because whatever they adapted for the TV series, more than likely that's what you're going to see in the films. That's how you speculate on the X-Men. What is the most well-known storylines, appearances, and what has already made it to the screen? That's how you adapt because there's a lot of stuff with the X-Men to get through. That's
it
not easy
is a lot. It is
speculation
a lot. I mean, I left
because
out
the
most
X
of them, but
no, because the X-Men usually have like a new character every issue. That's
let's
a
not
lot of
forget
speculation.
the related ones like X Factor and what is it, Excalibur and X-Men Red and Blue. So yeah, I'm just saying I thought just went after most popular stories that were undervalued, that weren't going, that I figured that they'll be able to easily pick up. And that's what I was focusing. House of M, for example, you know. So but none of the old, I figured you'd be focusing more on the old Golden Age, Silver Age stuff. I'm more on the more recent stuff.
Too
So
ex
and I
too
couldn't talk to
expensive.
Petey because Petey didn't even want to talk about the anything past 1950. So I said, let me just
What are
focus
you
on,
talking about?
anything.
X-Men, I
I
think
had
X-Men number
execution
one.
songs and all that stuff. I got all that stuff.
But you tell me all the time it's crap.
I didn't tell you that execution of song was crap when you got again. That's like the Deadpool. If the story is just okay, you at least have the Capullo doing like Deadpool, where it's like you had Rob Liefeld doing Deadpool, and then you had Capullo doing it. His early X Factor, like his first or second issue, where Cable fights Deadpool, like that. I don't care. I don't know if it's a key issue, but that was the issue where I could see, oh, this character is going to be pretty cool because I could see artists play up all the stuff that like the action and all that, and then you have Joe Mad do the Deadpool mini. So there's a lot of stuff. I mean, if you just want to read, and like for me, the hard part was because the two people that were scripting it that were the guys were, Claremont and Byrne, and both of them were on there, and both of them left. So I had a very mad on about who's those guys? Scott Lobdell and Fabian Nescenza. So it's kind of like and then when I'd see some of the other stuff, I'd be like, oh, this stuff isn't that bad. It was just kind of them doing the X-Men, but I read that stuff, and it wasn't until I think Steve Siegel and Joe Kelly were doing the X-Men where I finally decided to, let it go. But by the time Onslaught came, that's when I was kind of like, I got to get off this boat. This thing. Like Onslaught was a storyline that Wade was putting together that I really wasn't with. So, but I mean, all that stuff is readable. But at the time when I was really going through a shock that both Claremont and Byrne tie between was given to people I felt, kind of not, and they were changing it and doing something different than even more different than Claremont, even though it's closer to the cartoon. So it was mainly the shock value, shock to me, shock to my system that I felt the X-Men weren't totally wrong. It was just slightly wrong. But then as it went along with different writers, it went there. So this stuff there, definitely art wise, you got some of the art never except for a quick thing period right after Liefeld and Lee and Silvestri left. You see Adam, the Kubert brothers. You have John Romita come back. You had a lot of things happening. So yeah, if you have them, I mean, you haven't read them, you should check it out. See what you think.
The Silvestri, the Messiah complex. So you're saying that's good then?
No, I'm not saying Messiah. Why would
This
I
is
do
this
that?
is exactly why.
That's a big jump in time. That's not Browns. You said this is not Browns or what did you say? The modern age or the
The
that's
more modern
something.
age is the stuff that I
No,
brought.
but the hero that thing Wolverine wakes up in the future and runs into Jean. Isn't that the storyline?
Look. We're
And
not going to
Jean
go. It's
is
the whole
like,
Hope Summer, the whole
oh,
Hope Summer
it's
stuff.
not
Look,
it's not my favorite Silvestri work either. I think the closest I've seen that he's really done this.
so Cal, you understand why I shied away from talking to someone who's going to poo-poo some of the stuff that other people are saying.
You went
No,
from
this
Execution Song to Messiah Complex. What am I supposed to
Look,
say to
House
that?
of M, House of M.
Oh, yeah,
most of that stuff is most of that stuff is inside baseball. So it will, I mean, like, if you were to ask me what my opinion on it, I would give you a shrug. It's like it doesn't matter because the average guy who's not an X-Men reader has no clue about this particular stuff. And these storylines went on for a while. Okay, they
Yes,
went on for, I mean, they
too
went on
damn
for a
long.
while. Especially once you get to the 90s, because X-Men was so popular, they were selling so many copies, and they knew how to keep that gravy train running. Everything was like an event, a mini event. Started with what was that? What was the name of the Morlocks one? Was the
Yeah,
Mutant
Mutant
Massacre?
Massacre. Mutant Massacre.
I
That was a
think
good one.
that might have tipped it up. That wasn't bad, but other comics bled into it as well. I was reading Thor. That's how I got into it. But once you get away from it, I mean, the popularity was just irrepressible. You threw an X on it. Marvel was selling it, and it's so inside baseball. It's so into the weeds. It doesn't matter. I would never speculate on any of that type of stuff. It's just ridiculous. You'd have to be a comic seller like me, where I'll buy large collections and then I'll put up one issue at a time instead of selling them as a lot. And yeah, I might make a little bit more money that way or a lot, but for guys like you, I would never recommend it. It's like, it's just there's too much.
Yeah.
There's too much. And they sold too many copies and there were too many series. When they finally said, oh, wait a minute, there's too many X-Men books out. We need to cut this back to two. I almost fainted. I was like, what? I was like, huh? You just realized that now? But if we can we get back to the topic at hand? Because we got a copy of Amazing Spider-Man that's been staring at us for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So let's
Yeah,
do
so
it.
now so now we got Amazing Spider-Man 119. For those in the know, this is a big, I don't believe this is the first fight. I think there's another one, but it's small, much smaller. But this is like the first major fight between Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk. Begins in 119, and then we go to the next cover, that's 120. So it's two issues. This is, to be honest, this is affordable. Not if you buy it from me, but this is affordable. You can actually get decent copies for a low enough price. And since we got the Incredible Hulk in the Spider-Man movie, The speculation is, well, maybe we'll get an Incredible Hulk Spider-Man fight, which I think is utterly ridiculous. But hey, that's what speculation is. So these are actually two very good books if you have, or if you can get your hands on them. Great books to speculate against for two reasons. One, not too expensive for you, and then two, even if they don't jumpstart get jump started by the movie, pardon, even if they don't get jump started by the movie, there's still key issues. There's still key issues. So if you hold them, they're going to appreciate. So you don't have to worry about it one way or the other.
So
Well,
Cal, I mean,
well,
here's
I
a
was
question.
about to say one thing before you say that. I just want to say, if you're 119, you have Ramita pulling out all the art stops, and I think it's probably one of the last times where he just, oh, you can look at Captain America, but he pulled out all the art stops, and then the next one is him inking Gil Kane. So both books are, even if you're not speculating, are gorgeous to check out and read. So sorry, next back to
Okay,
you.
so no, no. So look, so Cal, so the problem here is that a reader has a hard time understanding this. So I can go to, and I'm not disparaging any retailer, but I'm just using Midtown just as an example. They're selling
Hmm.
theirs 8.5 CGC for Amazing Spider-Man 119 for a buck 70 or a buck 89, depending if there's no sale, right?
Hmm.
This is actually a wish list. That's not even the actual one, but this is what they have listed for the wish list, right? But yet, when you go to eBay, you're seeing it for anywhere from $50, $68 to 300 and something odd dollars. So, I mean, how do you know what the actual value is when it's all over the place, like that?
Are the ones on eBay graded?
Um, no, one pre-owned is one for 120. I'm just talking about 120, sorry, not 119. No, they're not saying any of them are graded, the ones that I'm seeing right now. So there's this place called Dale Roberts Comics, and they're selling it for graded at $259.
What's the grade?
CGC 9.2.
It's not bad. Well,
Dale
here's the
Comics.
problem when it comes to graded books right now. And I don't know how long this is going to take. When it was around COVID, guys graded everything. They graded everything. If a book had a loose cover or was chopped in half, they still graded it. It was ridiculous. They were grading key issues, but these books were maybe like a 2.0, and the pipeline of CGC books is so glutted. It still has yet to flow out. And I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work because you got a lot of these books are pretty much they're in case there's nothing going on with them. And what should have happened were books that were key books, but not necessarily in the strongest condition. Those should have been graded for preservation. These guys were grading everything for resale. So now when you look, you might find a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 119 as high as maybe a six, let me say an 8.0, and somebody might be asking under $100 for it. Why? Because it's just too many copies graded. Graded used to mean something. But the simplest way to do this is if you go to eBay and you look at the most recent sales, you can see what it is that sellers are willing to take on this book. And with that, you get an understanding of what you should be paying in order to make a profit. The last time I had copies of these, I think I actually still have copies. I haven't listed them for sale. But the last time I had copies of these books, I think I sold them for like $100 each. But I was still doing much better than the market at that time. But I have a different sales model. So these guys will be all over the place. And unfortunately, a lot of times they're just like, hey, I'm just going to try to get what I can. Let me look at what fair market value is. That nonsense. But if you're a buyer, you can always go look at the most recently sold issues, see what they're selling for. And if the average is, let's say the average is $40, then if you want to make a profit, you need to get yours for like $20, $25.
Got it. You the man, Cal. You put us on straight and narrow.
That's what I'm here for. So, oh, and just to connect with what Petey was saying, yeah, John Romita pulled out all the stops on that first issue. These are great stories if you haven't read them. Okay, I am talking about speculation, but I'm a comic book guy first. If you haven't read them, and I mean, just this cover alone, uh, and I was into it not because of the positioning of the Hulk, but I just found the image of Spider-Man on the cover to look so dynamic at the end of the day, where he's above the Hulk, almost looks bigger than the Hulk, and from a certain angle. So I was just like, okay, I want to read this and see what's going on. that is also for me the biggest reason to have it. These are two classic issues that I think every collector who's serious about comic books should have if you're a serious collector. Otherwise, if you're speculating, hey, you got two good issues that will definitely appreciate with time.
Okay, we have the next
Oh,
one.
yeah, Petey's favorite. That why you made it so small?
No, it's
You
just the
trying to
image doesn't hold up. This one I have doesn't hold up, so I'm putting it here for now.
Selector,
All right.
selector, selector.
Can we make it, is it possible to make it just a little
It
bigger?
just
Yeah, that
it
should be
just like
fine.
it just looks bad.
I don't know. Where I'm looking at it looks okay, but I guess the viewers will let us know. So
No, it look
hey,
good.
okay, make it small, I guess.
No, it's fine. Let's just go on.
It look it don't look good. It's fine. Thank you, man. Schizo. Anyway, this is this is actually with the exception of one person that I know, this is actually a pretty popular issue. This is the last Todd McFarlane art on Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 328. So you have something of a key if you want to there. It was also a popular issue because Spider-Man got the Cap the Universe power and was fighting the Hulk in the issue. So readers went after it for that. So you have those particular things going for it. But what's the biggest thing? Hey, we might get a Incredible Hulk versus Spider-Man fight in the movie. And who knows? Spidey may punch him into space. Who knows? It's Spider-Man's movie, and we all know the rule. If you're in Spider-Man's book or if you're in Spider-Man's movie, it doesn't matter how powerful you are. You're gonna lose. Remember what happened to Doctor Strange? The Hulk's got no chance in this movie. And he's gray. So we got a gray Hulk, and he's gonna be fighting Spider-Man in the movie. Might be the case. So you speculate on the one big fight between the Gray Hulk and Spider-Man. You make some money that way. This is also an affordable book. It's going to be higher priced in newsstand as opposed to the direct market edition. But direct market, you can still get this relatively cheap. But it's a very good book to speculate on for mostly for it being the last issue that Todd McFarlane did on Spider-Man, because Todd McFarlane hasn't done any Spider-Man since then, with the exception of one cover recently, and that was for a facsimile of the second run of Marvel Team Up Volume 2, number 14, where Invincible makes a guest appearance. So this is the last thing that he does with Spider-Man on Amazing Spider-Man. He goes off and he does the Spider-Man issues, but this is the last thing of that run.
Well, I'll just say for this arc, I called it for great power, no responsibility.
Mm,
Basically,
mm.
the punching the Hulk out in the space that was supposed to be stopping the Hulk. He said, "Oh, I gotta stop him," and he punched him out of space, which is just kind of a bit. But at the same time, I was definitely buying these books at the time. Todd's art was pretty hot at the time. I, kind of missed him on the Hulk. So this is kind of all that coming together at the time where it was like, oh, Sweaty's been doing the Hulk again. And so it was like, and so for me, ultimately, it's funny because a little while later they did Powerless Spider-Man, which was
Hmm.
probably my favorite arc of story that they've done in this entire period. But definitely Todd's art at the time was very energetic. He did a lot of fun stuff. Um,
Did you like his art better on Spider-Man or Hulk?
I think Spider-Man was just better because you could see him learning. He was getting better and better on the Hulk, but you could see a lot more swipes, that sort of thing. On Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, you could so his paneling, the panel on top of panel stuff. Basically, even though I think Eric Larson and I think Rob Liefeld credited him for creating that, which he didn't, he had a very great outlet. He also kind of used some of the stuff that Byrne would do, which was take a photo and then like copy it like 3 million times, so it becomes a high contrast thing, and then use it as a background. So it was a lot of cool things that he was bringing into the book, and just some mainly almost was they call it anchor pages or like poster pages that were going on. And David McElhaney was doing just a nice fun run on Spider-Man. He did a even though most people were, they were struggling with the Mary Jane and Peter Parker because their characters had moved away from a romantic thing. They were friends, and then because Stan Lee was doing it, they abruptly did the marriage. But David Michelinie took it on, and I think now, just like the Hulk of the past, they don't realize that the stories were a part of Todd McFarlane's success because they were terrible. You can't just be like, it was just fun stories. So it was good monthly comic books. You could count on Todd. And it was sometimes it was twice a month for the summer. So it was a great period. So and it was a and if you were speculating back then, the books went up in price immediately, like all of the Image guys. So it's kind of like, oh, I got these and they're high priced. Oh, then the Spider-Man title happens. So it's kind of like, oh, you were in this wave of these artists because that's what they wanted, when Byrne left the X-Men, is that immediately once you do a book, the Indiana Jones goes up in price, number one. So that's what comic book store has been looking for a while, and then we finally got it with Todd and Rob and Jim Lee, lesser extent, so Mark Silvestri, just certain key issues, but those three guys were just kind of, those books would go on the wall immediately. Oh, here's Hulk and what's name? This one goes up on the wall now. This just came out, so yeah. Next, got the Gray Hulk.
Oh yeah, my Hulk.
This, I think this is the last one, and this is the first appearance, or rather, this is the second appearance of the Gray Hulk since Incredible Hulk #1. So, no, no, no. What am I saying? This is not his second appearance. I'm totally off with this. Sorry. This is not the second appearance of the Gray Hulk, but this is the first appearance of the Mr. Fix-It.
Yep.
That's where we are. Okay. Apologies. So this is the first appearance of Mr. Fix-It. This would be a not a person. This is not another Hulk persona, but this was an alias that he used while he was working as a bouncer or an enforcer rather for this guy out in Las Vegas. And the character, proved to be pretty popular amongst the readership. He's made some appearances, come back. But if you're going to speculate on anything in terms, if the Hulk is supposedly going to be gray in Spider-Man movies, well, why don't you pick up the first appearance of the Hulk as Joe Fixit? And since Joe Fixit was the Gray Hulk, who knows what they may do? Hulk might get punched into space, or he might get punched all the way to Las Vegas and become an enforcer. So hey, it's a good. But this is actually of all the books that we've shown, this one right here has the most potential because you can still get this book for $10. You can still
Wow.
get this book for $10, and it is a key issue with the Hulk. And speculation with the Hulk is not like with other books. You have to know like the incarnations of the Hulk, personas, that type of thing. And this one is still very much underlooked. So once I've sorted out, oh, wait a minute, this is a book I should not be selling for less than X amount of money. I have made that number on it. If you can find it in a newsstand copy, that is the best. That is the best. I think there's a newsstand copy up for sale now on eBay. And it's a 9.8, CGC 9.8. And I think the person's asking $500, and they're right where they should be. So this is a good one. If you get it, ungraded, you can definitely speculate on this. It'll appreciate for you. If you get a graded copy, it's 9.8, don't sell it cheap. Doesn't make any sense to.
Pretty interesting because I've been actually looking at one Mr. Fix-It because I've read some of the more recent runs that they've had on him. But the one I've been actually looking at is the one with Wolverine.
Oh,
You
well,
know
that
that
wasn't
one?
oh yeah, which one was that?
You're talking about 340, right?
No,
Oh,
I
no, you're
think
talking
he's
about the
talking about the
Wolverine
Wolverine.
issue.
Wolverine
Yeah, he's
number
talking about the
eight.
Wolverine issue.
Oh,
Number
eight,
eight.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
he's in a
yeah.
white dinner jacket and
Yeah,
Wolverine.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I always love that view, the two of them like there, and like, you know,
That's the payback issue, right?
I have
Yeah.
no idea. What does that mean?
He got to be paid back because everyone knows they always go to Byrne saying, "Oh, Byrne was trying to get the." Every time someone did a story that Claremont didn't like, there was a payback issue, and that issue, Hulk goes to Madripoor, and Wolverine makes his life a living hell. And he says, "Hey, I know there's another person that you change into, and Hulk leaves Madripoor after punching them, but it was the payback to say, whereas Wolverine kills, he kills the Hulk in 340. Hulk comes back because of his the pseudo cancer regeneration thing or healing factor, and then the Hulk is about to beat down Wolverine, and then I guess the X I can't remember, the X-Men stop him or something like that. So
It
Chris
was
Claremont,
Shield. Clay,
oh shit, okay,
Clay, yeah, Clay Quartermain shows up.
so then, of course, there's got to be a payback issue. So the payback issue, and this is different from the thing in the Hulk because that was planned. But he's like, oh yeah, he let them use it because actually, Peter David talked about though Todd, no, Peter David talked about Todd wanting to do the Wolverine, and then them calling Chris, and Chris saying, yeah, yeah, you could use him around this time, and they got to use him, and then a little while later, the Hulk makes a visit to Madripoor, which is, there's action figures that have them the two in the two suits.
Oh wow, that's
And
cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, so and then those were
That was
nice
the
with that
payback?
period. Huh?
That was payback for Hulk 340?
Yeah, because the Wolverine is basically chasing him around. Everything he tries to do, he does something to mess with him. And
Yeah, I
then
know. He wakes up and he's like, "What do you mean I got nothing but purple pants?"
yeah, so there's all the stuff that keeps happening to the Hulk, and then in the end, he says, "Hey, you turn into someone else, and I could basically I could touch that one." And then Hulk punches him and says, "I don't want to hear nothing out of you, this, that, and the other." So I get the point, but it's like there's the one to Shooter if he did the Dazzler movie gets made, it gets pulled out of the studio in the vault, and it gets made, and then there's a shooter joke in there. After Spider-Man beats up the X-Men, there's the was it Kulan Gath, where Spider-Man gets easily captured by the New Mutants, and he gets strung up. this and he dies. He dies in the second part of the issue. He has a heart attack. His heart can't take it, and he dies in the issue. And then, of course, Powerless Storm is leading the charge with Captain America, and they reverse it because it was like a mini crossover that happens while Secret Wars is already like almost finished. And it was always so odd. And since John Romita Jr. does a very action-packed Spider-Man, a Spider-Man you can't get hit, it's really odd to say, wow, he's just got caught easily by the New Mutants, no less. And then he gets strung up like if you've seen Lee Horsford in the Sword and the Sorcerer, it was like a mirror image of that scene where he's at the dinner table, how up there, and they're just kind of looking. He wasn't a dinner table. There you see the heroes looking at him. But side note, going back to this, 2 issues after this is 349 where Spider-Man shows up. And unlike the rule when someone comes to your title, they get beat up. Spider-Man, Hulk can't do much with Spider-Man. They're standing because the way Jeff Purvis kind of draws. There's a shot where Spider-Man's punching him, standing up to him. Then there's a thing where Spider-Man, I did a thumbnail for us, but I changed it because it didn't draw enough interest. But where what's the name punches the Spider-Man, and he's like saying, "Oh, you're cool with those hit and run taxes," and punches Spider-Man, and Spider-Man flies away. Then he swings, and he comes down swinging and kicks the Hulk. He said, "Feels just like this," and I was like, "Is this the Hulk book or Spider-Man?" So, that's when I started feeling like he was the corporate hero. So anyway, but they have a Spider-Man Hulk right before the Hulk thing, where that was not the payback because the two writers coincided that the thing would beat the Gray Hulk because the thing was stronger, and then the Gray Hulk would do all his dirty tactics to beat up the thing. So
I mean, the prices on these are really, but I don't know if these are key issues.
high or low?
I mean, there's one, the bid starting at 99 cents. There's another one going for $9. Another one for $4.59. These are best offer. $4.49 or best offer. It says very fine, 1988 newsstand. What does that take you, Cal?
That's what the speculation is about. This is what they
This
weren't doing when John Walker went to the second was it the guy became Captain America. No one was
yeah.
buying, and the next thing you know, when the TV show comes out, hey, where are my John Walkers? I can't now we're all hunting for them again. So sorry. They're not
Yeah, this is perfect. This is those numbers are right where you want to be if you're buying for speculation. They're low. Okay? And there are plenty of copies to be had. What you want is a newsstand copy. You want a high grade newsstand copy. And when I get my hands on one, if I find a copy of 347, I sell it. I look at the condition, but like, okay, what? I put it up for $10 and I see what I get. 10 being my high, and I don't go anything less than say like 6 or 7, depending on the condition of the book. But that's what this book is. So now I think you had a little bit more movement on it recently, but there's still a lot of copies. But that means if you're how you this is how you do speculation. Speculation is not I find one book that is in right condition and it's the right type of variant, and then I try to sell that I try to sell that one book. Speculation is I try to get as many as these cheap copies as I can in the best possible condition. And then I'm looking to burn these off one at a time, and make my money back over the long term. Most guys are looking for the quick flip. So I bought the book, I'm trying to sell the book, I get my money back, and who knows, 10%, that's a waste of time. Why did you buy the book in the first place for a 20% return? It's just dumb. You want to try to get as close to 100% as you can. So, I'm going to buy 10, 20 copies of Incredible Hulk 347. I'm going to make certain it's a newsstand. I'm going to make certain it's in really good condition. And when it's time for me to list, well, somebody else may put up their book for, $10, 15, what have you. I'm going to put mine up for a premium of anywhere between 60 and 125 and let it rock that way. And then by the time everybody else catches up, I've got a good chunk of the books. I got a good chunk of the books because the fact that this book is a key Hulk issue, that's a key issue, and it's going so low just means a lot of other people have no idea about this book. But I'll let them learn, and I'll let them learn to the tune of $125.
You're a bad man. You're a bad, bad man.
Hey, we got to make this money, man. And comics, hey, I love doing speculation, trying to put other people in the know. But if you're serious, comic books are not beanbag. All right. Because some of the books that I'm looking for are premium price books. This guy doesn't have to move off of his price. I'm talking like I want a first appearance of Supergirl. I want a first appearance of Brainiac. I want a copy of Action Comics 1. That's where I am as a Superman collector, where there are certain books even if I just want to go back and complete my run of the Golden Age. So and you get to a point where it's like $500 a copy if you find a good book. So, comic books are not beanbag at the end of the day. If you're a serious collector, you understand what that means. That means there's going to be somebody out there who wants your specific copy. You, excuse me, you make certain that you got the right copy. Now, don't chump yourself and sell it too cheaply. Ask for the premium. How many times you end up doing this? And then when I make that money, where does it go? It goes right back into the comic book market because I can afford a copy of Superman 27 and I can get it for $500 because I made my money on these other books.
Interesting. What do you think about this whole, like, some of them have this thing, Klarna, that allows you to pay over time? Do you think that's
That's not a
actually,
bad thing.
is that helping the market, helping for you and sellers and stuff like that?
I don't know if it's helping buyers, uh, but I can get my own personal experience where there were books I probably would have had to pass on. But if I get an opportunity where, okay, I can finance this for I may not have, let's say the book is 500. I may not have 500 right away, but Klarna will let me pay it for it over the month. And over the month's time, I can come up with 500. Or over the year's time, I can come up with 500. That allows guys to buy things that they probably wouldn't be able to afford. So that's a pretty good thing. And there are other things that I would like to speculate on, like how much is this? This is going to be X amount. All right, I don't mind buying it now and then paying for it over time, especially since I'm going to be paying for it over time with these books that I'm selling. So for me, good, it's a good thing.
So what about this last one?
I don't know that one at all.
Yep.
What's that one about?
Hang on just a sec. Sorry. You don't know this one?
I don't know that
Mars?
one.
You know, sorry.
I don't know this one.
Yeah, this is the first appearance of the Shadow King.
Never liked that guy character, so that's why
Thank you. We agree. We agree.
it's the dumbest thing that ever came out.
Then you'll love selling it to people and making a premium profit. You'll be
But
like, here, sucker.
oh, sucker.
Well, after looking at the trailer and seeing Sadie Sink's character, or at least the effects of whatever character is there, the powers and the usage of the powers are more in line with the Shadow King than Jean Grey. A lot of people don't seem to remember
Huh.
Jean Grey was she was a telekinetic when she's first introduced. To the best of my memory, when she's first introduced, and PD can check me on this, she's introduced as a telekinetic. She was using mind over matter. The
Yeah.
telepathy comes in later. And was that a was that like did that come in after she got the Phoenix powers or before?
Well, before Xavier died, he started to either train her or share his own power with her. And then when he was gone, he she became well, it was off and on telepath thing. She wasn't really doing much of it, but then it was retconned that she was a telepath when she was
Yeah.
young and the girl died. But in the regular continuity of what happened, she was totally just telekinesis. And then before Xavier died, he started showing her stuff and or sharing his powers. And then when he's gone, she's just full on telepath. So, well, she can
Yeah.
still do telekinesis, but she was also able to read minds and she would connect the X-Men mentally. And then it became that the Phoenix was the focus of her mental powers, the full force of her mental powers, and then it changed into an entity. But anyway, back to the dreaded Shadow King.
Yeah. So when the power set and the abilities, seem to be more in line with the Shadow King. So if you're speculating, and this is exactly what speculation is, then this is the book that you want to pick up. You want to get the first appearance of the Shadow King. You do not want to go and get the first appearance of Jean Grey. That's a $5,000 book. You don't want to go and get the first appearance of Phoenix. That's going to be a $200 to $400 book for you. On the lower end, you want to get this book, which could very much be the character of the Shadow King.
I only say it's funny because the image of the Hulk being mind control, that one seems similar to an image that Ron Garney did, but it's what you're saying would make more sense because the villain that possessed the Hulk was Tyrannus, and he didn't have any kind of mental powers. So like someone who's able to talk to Peter and talk about MJ and all this other nonsense that he has people talking about seems like there's going to be some sort of X-Men connection. And for the fans, this is also, even though it was definitely when this issue was great. This issue is a great issue. Like
Wow.
Xavier is in Cairo. It's a flashback to Xavier being in Cairo, but explaining to you how he got to Cairo because we know he was in that area and he lost his legs, but it kind of lets you know how he got there and why he's roaming around and for what Xavier was his first experience with an evil mutant. Even though at some point later he runs into Magneto or whatnot, this is like his first thing of saying that he can't trust. They're going to be mutants that are going to be utilizing their powers for negative things, and that's where he finds a young Storm being controlled by being in the midst of the Shadow King. You have everyone in this bar by this obese guy, and then when Xavier gets there, they have this mental battle because Xavier wants to free these people from this creature, and he just outclasses um, Xavier in every way. So you know, it's a but even in his comebacks, actually his first comeback in the New Mutants was a surprise, which was cool. But the next one was a very long storyline. So
got me my interest peaked in reading that now.
Oh,
Petey.
good.
So
Yes.
Cal, that I guess even though I had no interest in the shadow thing, this as a key issue seems very interesting. So thank you for bringing it to my attention.
My pleasure. You want to take us out with the last word?
Hey, if you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Spinnerack.
We are
Yeah. Later days.
we are out.